Personal protective equipment, commonly called PPE, is equipment or clothing you wear to protect yourself from specific job hazards. PPE is used to protect your head, face and eyes, hearing, hands, body, and feet. There are other types of protection used for respiratory hazards. These will be covered in a separate training session if your job requires them. Remember, use only the PPE you have been trained to use. What you need to know about PPE includes when PPE is needed, the types of PPE, how to don, remove, adjust, and wear PPE, the limitations and the proper care, maintenance, useful life, and disposal procedures. This training provides you general information about personal protective equipment. Your supervisor will give you more information on the job-specific hazards in your work area and will assist you in selecting the right PPE for your job. For personal protective equipment to work correctly, you must follow some basic rules for its use. Keep it clean, never use damaged PPE, store PPE away from dirt, heat, and chemicals. Ask for replacements when necessary, and inspect it before each use. Hazards to your head include falling objects, impact against fixed objects such as pipes or beams, and exposed electrical conductors. While all hard hats provide some degree of impact protection, only electrically rated hard hats protect against contact with live electrical circuits. To ensure your hard hat will provide the maximum protection, adjust the headband and suspension webbing for a snug fit. Suspension webbing must be adjusted to allow at least a 1-inch gap between the top of the suspension and the hard hat shell. Be sure to inspect your hard hat every day. Replace your hard hat if you see any signs of loss of surface gloss, chalking, flaking, cracks, holes, or dents. Replace suspension webbing if it is cracked, torn, frayed, or has less than 1 inch between webbing and shell and cannot be properly adjusted. Dirt, paint, and stickers can hide damage. Use mild soap and warm water to wash your hard hat. Never use solvents or strong cleaners. They can cause damage and reduce the strength of your hard hat. To protect yourself and others from head injuries, follow these work practice rules. Never walk or work under a suspended load. Watch for low overhead clearance hazards. Avoid work directly underneath others, and always use tool lanyards when working above someone. Hazards to your eyes and face include chemicals, dust, mist, and vapors, flying chips, high-intensity light, and high heat. Always use the correct eye or face protection when using chemicals, for all splash hazards, when using hand or power tools, for welding or brazing, when working above your head, and in areas posted as eye protection required. Face shields do not provide eye protection for all hazards, such as chemical vapors, splashes, or airborne dust. Use face protection in addition to eye protection when working with chemicals, welding, grinding, or chipping. Special face protection is also required when working with molten metals. Safety glasses have impact-resistant lenses that can save your eyesight from flying hazards. Side shields provide maximum wraparound protection. Use safety glasses when doing maintenance, when using power or hand tools, and in any areas where airborne particles may exist. Goggles provide protection from not only impact, but also dust, liquids, and splashes. There are two types of safety goggles, vented and non-vented. Use indirect vented or non-vented type for splash hazards, chemicals, and spraying operations, or when working around eye-irritating fumes. To protect your eyesight, be sure to follow these safety rules. Inspect your eye protection for cracks, breaks, and cleanliness. Use splash-proof goggles and face shield with chemicals. Never look at welding operations without the correct type of filtered eye protection. Use goggles in high dust areas. Protect your eyes from direct high heat. Select the highest tint possible for high-intensity light from lasers, welding, and brazing. Store PPE away from heat and sunlight. Keep your eye and face protection clean with a soft cloth and lens cleaner. Hazards to your hearing include loud, sharp noises, equipment noise, loud music, power tool noise, and ear infections. Exposure to high noise levels can cause hearing loss or impairment. It can also create physical or psychological stress. There is no cure for noise-induced hearing loss, so the prevention of excessive noise exposure is the only way to avoid hearing damage. There are two basic types of hearing protection: protectors or earmuffs that cover the entire ear, and earplugs that are inserted into the ear canal. Earmuffs must make a perfect seal around the ear to be effective. Glasses, long sideburns, long hair, and facial movements such as chewing can reduce protection. There are two types of earplugs, molded and foam type. For either type to do their job right, you must keep them clean and insert them properly. The packaging material has information about cleaning and proper placement in the ear. The effect of high noise levels depends on the noise level and the amount of time you are exposed to it. Use hearing protection in areas greater than 85 decibel noise and where high noise signs are posted. Use hearing protection with power tools. Replace worn or broken hearing protectors immediately, and be sure to use hearing protection off the job when shooting firearms, using power tools, or powered lawn equipment. Hazards to your hands include chemicals, electricity, equipment and tools, extreme heat or cold, sharp edges, vibration, and friction. There are different types of hand protection for each specific hand hazard. Be sure you use the correct type of glove. Gloves will only provide the design protection if they are not damaged or worn out. Chemical gloves provide only limited time protection before breakthrough occurs. Avoid prolonged immersion in chemicals. Be sure to change gloves for a new pair if they have any signs of cracks, tears, cuts, or appear worn out. Hand safety rules include checking your gloves before each use, selecting the correct glove for the specific hazard, not putting your hands in equipment danger zones, washing your hands after using chemicals, and getting immediate first aid for all cuts, blisters, and bruises. And remember, before you put your hands where you can't see them, check for hidden hazards. Some jobs require special clothing to protect your body from exposure to hazardous substances or conditions. Examples of tasks that require special clothing include asbestos work, battery maintenance, chemical spill cleanup, laboratory work, brain operations, welding, and cold and hot environments. Special clothing ranges from simple aprons or coveralls to highly specialized chemical protection suits. If your job requires the use of any special clothing, your supervisor will show you which type is right for your job. As with all personal protective equipment, special protective clothing must be inspected before each use to ensure it will provide the level of protection required for your job. Look for tears and worn areas. If you need replacements, see your supervisor. When not in use, make sure you store the clothing in areas that will not cause it to become damaged. Hazards to your feet include heavy objects, such as barrels or tools that might roll onto or fall on your feet. Sharp objects, such as nails or spikes, that might pierce the soles or upper part of ordinary shoes. Molten metal that might splash on feet or legs. Hot or wet surfaces. Slippery surfaces. Hazardous chemicals and electricity. If your job has foot hazards, the footwear selected is designed to protect against those hazards. Design considerations include liquid resistance, puncture resistance, crush resistance, and electrical resistance. Pre-use safety check of foot protection includes checking the soles for good treads, Laces not worn, frayed, or too long. No separation between sole and uppers, and no holes or tears. Before using any PPE, check for cuts and tears, excessive wear, missing or broken parts, cleanliness, deformities, and proper fit. PPE must be replaced when it is damaged or no longer provides the required protection. Be sure to always store your PPE in a clean, dry location and away from chemicals, direct heat, and direct sunlight.